On August 8, 1944, Anglo-Canadian forces launched Operation Totalize. The main objective was to break through the German defenses south of Caen, on the eastern flank of the Allied positions in Normandy, and then drive south to conquer the high ground north of Falaise. The goal was to undermine the German front line, and cut off the retreat path of German forces, engaged in combat with the advancing Allied armies to the west. One of their more notable accomplishments during Operation Totalize was when British and Canadian Sherman Fireflies defeated the formidable German armored forces in a counterattack, resulting in the destruction of at least 4 Tiger tanks and the demise of the attack's leader, the infamous German panzer commander, SS Ubersturmführer Michael Wittmann. The Firefly was a modified M4 Sherman, equipped with the powerful, ordnance quick-firing 17-pounder anti-tank gun. Capable of breaching 233mm armor from a distance of 1,000 meters, it was the British Army's answer to the Germans' formidable tanks, particularly the heavily armored Tiger I. On the night of August 8, under the cover of darkness, British and Canadian tanks and troops seized the tactically important high ground near the town of Saint-Aignan-de-Crampesnil. On the northeastern side, British tanks from A Squadron 1st Northamptonshire Yeomanry and B Squadron 144th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps were strategically positioned within wooded areas. Meanwhile, on the western side, a squadron of the Sherbrooke Fusilier Regiment took up their positions in the courtyard of a chateau, providing a lateral perspective of the impending attack. Having reached their objective, the Allied forces came to a halt, anticipating an aerial bombardment that would signify the commencement of the next stage of the assault. Unaware of why the Allied forces had come to a halt, SS Hitlerjugend Division Commander Kurt Meyer ordered a counterattack to retake the high ground. A group of 7 Tiger tanks from Heavy SS Panzer Battalion 101, supported by additional tanks and infantry, crossed open terrain towards the high ground. The platoon was led by the most successful German tank ace, Michael Wittmann, also known as the Black Baron. Wittmann's platoon was assigned to attack Sinthos, located on the Route Nationale 158 between Caen and Falaise, as well as to hold the high ground, which had been seized by British and Canadian soldiers to the north. The total score of victories for Wittmann up to August 8, 1944, was 141 tanks and 132 anti-tank guns, and most of them were scored on the Eastern Front. Wittmann's Tiger, the command vehicle with turret number 007, would leave around 12:30, and after a short distance, would intercept a team of Shermans from the 4th Canadian Armored Division, which was also pushing towards Sinthos. Using the powerful 88mm guns, the team of 7 advancing Tigers and 1 Panzer IV began to crush the little column of Canadian vehicles, desperate to press towards their objective. Wittmann's Tiger moved north on the right side of the RN 158 out of Sinthos during the attack. In the 2nd Command Vehicle 009, he was accompanied by Signals Officer Helmut Dollinger, and 2 vehicles from the 101's 3rd Company, 312 commanded by SS Obersturmführer Peter Kisters, and 314 commanded on that day by SS Untersturmführer Willy Irian. The complete account of what exactly happened to Michael Wittmann and his crew might perhaps never be known, as the details surrounding their final moments continue to be a topic of speculation. Nevertheless, owing to Wittmann's legendary reputation, multiple Allied units that were active in the vicinity during that period have laid claim to engaging with him. In a 1985 issue of After the Battle magazine, Les Taylor, a wartime member of the 1st Northamptonshire Yeomanry, claimed that his colleague, a Firefly gunner named Joe Ekins, was responsible for the destruction of Wittmann's Tiger. Ken Tout, a veteran and historian who served in C Squadron of the 1st Northamptonshire Yeomanry, also published a similar account, crediting Ekins for the kill. Challenging the assertions made in favor of Trooper Ekins, Canadian historian Brian Reed raised the possibility that Wittmann's death might have been caused by a Sherman Firefly from A Squadron, Sherbrooke Fusiliers. According to Reed's analysis, Wittmann's Tiger tank was located approximately 400 meters away from the Canadian tanks, positioned on the left flank of the advancing Tigers. In 2008, historian Norm Christie created a documentary exploring the final battle, featuring interviews with the participants, Joe Ekins, Ken Tout, and Rad Walters. Through their testimonies and analysis of 2 German accounts, he made an attempt to reconstruct the details of the final engagement. At 12:30 hours, the Tigers emerged from the cover of a hedge near Sinthos in 2 prongs, one in the center of the field and the other, including Wittmann, going slower to the right. The British 75mm tanks engaged the lead Tiger of Irian, hitting it in the transmission, bogies, or tracks, and it began to circle in an attempt to withdraw. In the engagement, Joe Ekins' Fireflies successfully targeted the second Tiger on the right side, effectively disabling it. As the crew of the disabled tank evacuated and attended to their wounded, they witnessed another Tiger to the north engulfed in flames. Although Irian attempted to withdraw, he was unable to escape and fell victim to Ekins' fire, with Ekins referring to the tank that was maneuvering unpredictably. In a critical moment, Wittmann issued the order to pull back. Unknown to him, a group of enemy tanks was positioned immediately to his right, and in a coordinated attack, they swiftly disabled the 2 Tigers located alongside the road. Positioned to the west of the RN 158 road, near the hamlet of Gomsnil, there was a chateau encircled by an extensive wall. The Sherbrooke Fusiliers, and part of the 2nd Canadian Armoured Brigade, had deployed 6 75mm Shermans, and 2 17-pounder Sherman Fireflies. These tanks breached the chateau's wall to secure a clear line of sight for firing, while maintaining some degree of protection. Their timely positioning allowed them to witness the arrival of Wittmann's 4 Tigers, which subsequently came under fire from the British tanks. Maintaining restraint, the Canadians held their fire until a solitary Tiger tank entered their field of view, possibly Tiger 007. With a single well-placed shot from a Canadian Firefly tank, the advancing Tiger was immobilized. Subsequently, a fire erupted within the Tiger, leading to a massive explosion that forcefully ejected the turret from its hull. Survivors from Dollinger's Tiger passed by the wreckage of Wittmann's tank shortly after this incident. It is important to note that the available information on this event relies solely on verbal accounts, as the after-action reports of the Canadian unit were lost when their mobile headquarters vehicle was destroyed under enemy fire. But there is some strong evidence that the Canadians were responsible for destroying Wittmann's Tiger. After careful analysis of the measured ranges and the impact location on Wittmann's Tiger, it was deduced that one of the Sherbrooke tanks was likely responsible for the shot. Positioned approximately 150 meters away from Wittmann's tank and on the same side as the impact, the Sherbrooke tanks were in a favorable position. In contrast, the Northamptonshire tanks were positioned over a kilometer away, and on the opposite side. The location of the damage to the hull of Tiger 007 is also a convincing indicator. The German vehicle had taken a clear hit to its left above the fuel tank, the side that would have been facing the Sherbrooke's position as it passed close by. For Ekins to have inflicted such damage, on the other hand, he would have needed to fire off a very lucky long-range shot, at a distance of over 1,000 meters. Ekins' claim to have taken out 3 Tigers on August 8, 1944 was more consistent with the final position of the 3 German vehicles that were abandoned northeast of Gomsno, Dollinger 009, Kisters 312 and Irians 314. While it remains uncertain if Joe Ekins personally destroyed Wittmann's Tiger, his feat of disabling 3 Tigers is still a notable accomplishment. The destroyed tank's dead crew members were buried in an unmarked grave. In 1983, the German War Graves Commission located the burial site.